G'day there guys, it's Connor here again from Marquee Industries, coming at you with some more stories from Reddit. Hope you're all having a fantastic day so far. Anyway, let's get straight into the stories. Okay, we're on relationship advice. This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, "My girlfriend of a year slept with another guy while we were taking it slow a month into dating me. I've been with this girl I'll call Jess for close to a year now. Since specifics matter here, we started dating around last Thanksgiving, but it was only about a month later when we said we were in an official relationship. I really liked this girl from the get-go, and we've gotten very close since then, and we're actually planning on moving in together soon. Here's a problem. Recently, Jess and I ran into a guy at a small get-together with mutual friends. They exchanged a weird look, like there was something between them, but I didn't think too much of it at the time. During the party, something came up about the place Jess went to for a date. The time was clear since it was a Christmas market in my town, and again I thought something was off about the guy. Well, later that night I actually get a text from him. He got my number from one of the mutual friends, but said, "Hey, I don't know you, but I thought you should know that Jess and I hooked up right after Christmas." I confronted Jess about this, and I could tell she tensed up right away. She got this sad look on her face, but confessed right away. She said she'd met this guy on Tinder and hooked up a couple of times, but stopped any contact before we became official. She said she wasn't sure we would get into a relationship at that time, but she still felt bad that I found out this way. She said she considered telling me but was afraid it would ruin things between us. I told her I needed some time to think and proceeded to get drunk that night and ignored her texts. The thing is, I feel very betrayed and I'm really considering ending things. Since we weren't official when this happened, but we have already been on multiple dates at that time, and I thought it was pretty clear that we were moving towards a full-fledged relationship. On my side, I had no interest in pursuing other girls at that point because I only wanted to be with Jess, and on her end, she was definitely hinting at us evolving into a couple and strongly hinting at exclusivity. The other part that kills me is that during this early stage, Jess specifically said she wanted to take things slow physically until we knew each other better, but during this same time she hooks up with the guy she barely knew from Tinder. When I asked her this, she said it's different because she took it slow with me specifically because she thought we would get into a relationship, but it was somehow different with a casual hookup. That logic makes zero sense to me. I don't really want to talk about it with my friends because I think they would hate Jess if we ended up staying together, but I would like to hear opinions on here. Would you stay in a relationship like this if things were going well, but the beginning was so shady? Yeah, I mean, obviously the start was pretty sus, and I would expect to be told about something like this if it did happen. But at the end of the day, she's not exactly fully guilty with what she did. I feel like this has more to do with morals and the fact that OP and his girlfriend have completely different ones in regards to relationships and, new relationship etiquette or something like that. I don't know, what do you guys think? Let's read some comments. All other things aside, it does make sense for me to take things slow with someone I'm pursuing a relationship with, but it doesn't matter for casual sex and flings. I'm thoroughly not into dating multiple people though. I would probably dump her, since there was no true exclusivity talk, but I would be upset finding out that I had to wait because I'm such a great catch that sex can be denied because of it, yet some rando on Tinder can hook up right off the bat. Look, I get it. Her body, her rules. She can sleep with everyone or no one. The point is, why the frick do people use these hints about wanting to have a relationship, but need to try out a few more models to make sure? I mean, it really feels like being strung along. We need to take it slow, which should be code for, I don't want to rush this and get hurt, not take it slow with you but not him. This is just how I would personally view it. You weren't official, so hooking up with someone is meh, but I expect to be told about said hookup and full transparency, because I'm not going to have sex with a person unless I have an up-to-date STI test, and that means it's been over 2 months since their last partner, which means if they hook up with someone else, that 2-month clock gets rolled all the way back to 0. So go for it, I don't care, but we ain't banging for 2 months then, and you need to re-update your STI test, then sex can be an option again. Which then highlights the fact she withheld this info from you, which also brings up, hey OP, when's the last time you and her had STI tests? If neither of you have been tested after March, you need to go get tested. Now. In my opinion, if you're dating someone and moving towards a serious relationship, you don't frickin' bang other people. This would be a deal breaker for me, but you do you, man. If you can't get past it, then end it. Opie replies, yeah, that's how I feel as well. It would have been one thing if she was just talking to other guys in the early stages while we were still defining things. Of course, that's fine and normal. But it feels like a slap in the face that she found another guy to sleep with after we'd already gone on quite a few dates, and I made it clear I thought we were moving towards a serious relationship, which she seemed to also acknowledge. There's no way she didn't know I would feel hurt that she did that. And Opie answers the deleted comment. Yeah, her logic made no sense to me. She tried to explain that with guys she wants to be in a relationship with, she wants it to feel special and wants to build an emotional connection. But for guys she sees no future with, she sometimes just wanted some physical fun that meant nothing. But I just can't wrap my mind around that. It feels like a gut punch that as we were getting closer and building a connection, she didn't want to be intimate with me, but instead preferred to find someone else. No matter how she rationalizes it, it's hard not to feel like a second choice of sorts. Yeah, I mean, if Opie's already feeling like this, I can't say there's much of a chance of this going on any longer. Let's go to the update. As the title says, I decided to break up with Jess. I kept going back and forth because I was worried I was throwing away a great thing over something that happened in the past, but the problem is I thought I really wouldn't be able to get past it. I can't help what she did was really crappy. Yes, I know that technically she did not cheat, but she knew that I wanted a real relationship and that we were potentially moving in that direction. But meanwhile, she expected me to plan and pay for interesting dates, court her, and prove that I was worthy of her, while she happily hooked up with randos who basically did nothing but show an interest in effing. F that. In a follow-up conversation, it also came up that her friends sort of guided her to act like this, that she should basically allow herself to have fun and to keep her casual options open, but with me to make me work for it, and show that I wasn't just looking for sex, but was capable of being a committed partner. The whole thing just seemed so manipulative and ugly. And these were also mutual friends who I considered to be nice girls, and now my friends as well. Now I never want to see any of those pieces of crap ever again. Anyway, I know this is starting to sound a bit like a rant, lol, but I felt pretty ticked off and basically called it quits. The actual breakup was actually quite unpleasant. No harsh words were exchanged, but Jess cried and we kind of talked about some happy times. I guess that's the hardest part about this. Like, I don't think she's a bad girl, and maybe we could have had a nice future together like we did over the past few months. But in the end, I do think I made the right decision. I want to be with someone who treats me well from the get-go, not someone who manipulates me while playing games just so she can have her cake and eat it too. Yeah, good on Opie for breaking it up and sticking by his guns. I mean, you could tell she felt guilty about what she did. Maybe this could have been saved if she'd owned up to it before the guy got in contact with OP. Who knows? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down below. Okay, let's move on to a different story. Okay, jumping over to Chew Off My Chest, this one was written by user Okay Well Here We Are, and it's titled, My husband ditched us to go see the Grateful Dead, and I'm done. My husband is a deadhead. His entire identity is built around this band, and he's seen them in their various incarnations over 50 times. Normally I don't mind, but 2 years ago I was in an accident that left me unable to work. I now receive a tiny disability check once a month for it. He works, but it hasn't been easy with the cost of everything skyrocketing. My disability check doesn't even cover the full cost of our rent, even though our rent is the lowest in our area. Long story short, Dead & Company is made up of what remains of the Grateful Dead, and this is supposed to be their last tour. We live on the East Coast, where he's already seen them twice, which was already more than we can afford. But a few days ago, he took out a loan and bought tickets to go see their final show in San Francisco, along with round-trip air and hotel, and whatever else he needs out there. Me and the kids are left with $10, some pocket change, and what feels like a very big FU. School starts back in a month, and the kids both need school supplies and clothes. I could name 1,000 things we need, things that we're going without while money is tight, but this is what he chose to do. We're not going to starve over the weekend, but I don't even have enough money to go get them a pizza while their dad is having a blast on the other side of the country and hanging out with his online deadhead fam. I understand that this band means a lot to him and I try to be supportive of that, but I feel like he's crossed a line here. He refuses to talk about how much all of this is costing us, but when I looked up the cost of concert tickets, flight tickets, hotels, transportation and food, the bare minimum figure I get is still around $1,000. It could very well be, and probably is a lot more than that. I've supported him through a lot of things, but this weekend, while he's off having fun and leaving us to fend for ourselves, I'm slowly planning my divorce. I'm playing nice while I get all of my ducks in a row, but this is it for me. I'm tired of watering down essentials like shampoo or laundry soap, living off rice and beans just for him to turn around and take out a loan so he can go to a show all by himself across the country. Yeah, goes without saying, this is incredibly selfish. Let's look at the comments. Try looking into charities and social organisations that can help you get cheap housing and food vouchers. Another commenter adds, I'm not sure where exactly OP is, but I'm in Massachusetts and my company does service work at several women's shelters in the area. I don't know if there are requirements, but something to look into. It's a safe place to sleep and have your family feel safe with 3 meals. My ex was a huge juggalette, Insane Clown Posse for those wondering. Knew all their songs, was big in the community, all that jazz. Like you, I tried to be supportive even though I didn't like their everything for the most part. It was almost her whole identity to be one. I too learned the hard way that the need of us/me was secondary or tertiary to that lifestyle. We never spent Valentine's Day together because that was Juggalo Day, so she had to go be there. The one time I decided to give it a try, I had to back out because I needed to work a bunch of overtime in order to not get behind on bills, and she went without me. She would bend over backwards to overwork herself in order to pay for tickets to these events, but wouldn't do the same when money was getting tight for bills. When I broke my foot 2 days after buying a house for us, she would barely work to help with bills, but would work to buy tickets. While I was out of work and unable to walk, she would leave for a week or two to go to events and leave me alone, all the while trying to convince me to go with a broken foot. All the while I had to dip into my dwindling savings to pay for everything. In the 4 months I was out of work, she contributed $1,200 total for all 4 months, even though we agreed to go half on all bills, which was about $850 for both of us after everything was said and done. Normally I don't respond to these kinds of posts with "you should leave them" because it feels callous to say, because sometimes you can't just leave them like you leave a bad party. But this, leave them. Let them live their one-note life. Maybe, like my ex, he'll find someone just as into that culture and they can be happy together. You deserve someone who doesn't throw you to the side just because it's maybe the last time I'll get to see them live, or whatever other excuse they come up with. The excuses never stop, and that trust can't realistically be rebuilt. Damn, imagine losing your girlfriend to Insane Clown Posse. That's rough. Opie adds an update in the comments. You guys, I wish I had the time to thank you all individually for the overwhelming support I've received here. I really was not expecting that when I posted. Even though I'm dealing with something so effed up, I feel so much better than I did a few hours ago, knowing there are so many decent and kind people out there, so thank you for that. I mean it. As for everything else, divorce is inevitable. He might not be a total monster, and I'm sure on any other day I would have been able to tell you 1,000 different things that are good about him, but this is a huge betrayal, and I just don't see how we're going to come back from that. We're only barely making ends meet now, and this one single selfish act of his leaves us thousands of dollars in the hole overnight. I'm occasionally capable of small miracles, but pulling money I don't have out of my ass isn't one of them. It's the weekend now, so I won't be able to even think about speaking to a lawyer until Monday at the earliest. I wish I could say I'm packing up now, but the reality is I'm stuck here, at least for a little while. The $10 I have in my account doesn't go very far these days. I'll have money again on the 1st, so tomorrow I'll be packing just the essentials, birth certificates and the like, and taking them to my friend's house for safekeeping for now. I'll also be calling my landlord to see about having my name removed from the lease agreement. I'm not going to tell my husband I'm leaving yet though. He's going to come home and tell me what a beautiful experience it was, tell me how much he wishes I could have been there, and how he'll take me one of these days and make it up to me eventually, and I'll smile and play along for the next 2 weeks. I'm not sure where I'm going yet, but I do know I'm not going to pay 3/4 of the rent just to be immediately broke again and have the lights and water and phone all turned off a few days later because he put us in this financial pit. I hope his social media fam are impressed enough by his presence and Instagram stories to make all this worth it to him. I hate it. I can't even begin to explain how hurt and shocked and tired and angry I am. I'm also numb. I don't know how it's possible to feel all this at the same time, but hey, here I am. Thank you though from the bottom of my heart. And for the handful of piss-ons wringing their hand about me being a leech and sucking the joy out of his life, keep in mind that I worked from the time I was 16 up until I got hurt, and there were plenty of times throughout this relationship where I was the breadwinner. I provided for him during those times because that's what people in relationships do for one another. I'm very sorry you've never cared enough about someone else or had anyone care about you to understand that. I draw disability now because I paid into a system that was put into place to do for people exactly what it's doing for me right now. Edit, I appreciate the offers, I really do, but if you need to donate to anything, please donate to your local animal shelter or food closet or a needy family in your neighbourhood. This blew up way bigger than I thought my rant was worth to anyone, but the kids and I are going to be okay. We're leaving tonight to stay with a couple of friends. Everything is moving very quickly now, it's sort of surreal. And now for another update. I wasn't expecting I need to update already, but he knows. Someone here decided to share my vent elsewhere, so he saw it on Facebook. He's angry that I've made him look like an a-hole. I told him all I did was talk about it without naming him, and if people decide he's an a-hole based on his actions, he's got no one to blame but himself. I'm so nervous, I'm shaking, and I feel like I might vomit. Some friends have offered to come help me pack and let me and the boys stay with them until I can figure out something more permanent. Edit, also please don't try to send me or anyone else pretending to me or pretending to collect on my behalf anything. We're in good hands right now and we're not going to go without. I figured since this whole thing blew up today, I might as well tell all of my friends what's going on and they've really pulled up for us, so we're definitely going to be okay. One comment says, divorce him. He has made it clear he doesn't care about you or the kids. Anyone that selfish needs to be held accountable and the only way to do that is by leaving him. Opie replies, I'm finally realizing this. He's always been a bit selfish, but usually it's smaller things like buying one of his fam birthday rounds with our last $5. We were already struggling because his last 2 East Coast shows really set us back hard. He missed work for both of those shows, but we could have skimmed by because he used his PTO for those shows. But not only did he take out a loan for San Fran, he has no paid time off left and he's missing 3 days of work, which means his next paycheck is going to be super slim and we'll have a new loan payment to make. I'm expecting this to set us back at least 2 or 3 months, but probably more. The kids go back to school in a month. The youngest had a massive growth spurt and literally none of his clothes fit. He's got a single pair of jeans, 2 pairs of shorts, and I think 5 t-shirts that he can still wear. I have no idea how I'm going to do this, but I'm tired of making all these sacrifices just so he can go do whatever he feels like. Another commenter says, that is shockingly bad. He doesn't care if you and his own children are low on food and necessities. If he's gotten this low, who knows what he'll do in the future, and you said he's always been selfish. This goes beyond selfish, and I agree with all the other comments about divorce. There's no going back from this. At least that's my opinion. I wouldn't be able to ever see him the same again, and I'd be absolutely heartbroken. I'm sorry he did this. Don't let anyone downplay his actions. Opie replies, I keep going back and forth between heartache and rage. We've been together for almost 20 years, and I cannot believe he would stoop so low to just leave us like that. Life feels so unreal right now. I have a doctor appointment this week that I'm going to have to call and cancel first thing Monday morning because I don't have the money for it anymore. This is so effed. It's 8 in the morning and I didn't sleep at all last night up worrying about this stuff. I can't wrap my head around it. Okay, back over for some more legal advice. Filing for divorce tomorrow, but I'm in the middle of a lawsuit. Will either of these affect the other? I was injured in a work-related accident that has severely affected my mobility, and this process has been ridiculously slow, in part because my lawyer told me we needed to know how well I might expect to recover, and a slew of other things, and those require time and doctors. I've been basically guaranteed a fairly large settlement. The problem is, I'm planning on filing for divorce tomorrow. I had a fairly solid career before my accident while my husband sort of skipped from job to job. I was fine with that at the time, but I'm on disability now, and my husband has made a series of increasingly awful financial decisions that, well, let's just say they're bad, and I can't stay married to him anymore. Are either of us entitled to alimony? Will he be entitled to any of this settlement when it comes through? If I collect child support from him, is that going to have any bearing on my other case? I'm calling my attorney and maybe a divorce attorney tomorrow if my current attorney can't do it. Hopefully he can recommend someone, but I don't know how long it'll take to set up a meeting, and I guess I just wanted to ask here first so I'll have some kind of heads up. Married almost 20 years in South Carolina, if that matters. My accident was about 2 years ago. He's never acted as my caretaker or anything because I stayed at my mother's home with our children, where she did most of the caretaking when I actually required it. Some answers in the comments. He shouldn't be, but this is something you should talk to your divorce lawyer about. They'll have far more information and the steps you'll need to protect yourself and your kids. This is a little above Reddit's pay grade. Opie replies, I'm planning on doing that ASAP. I'm just very nervous and freaking out a little because of course everything blew up over the weekend when all of the offices are closed. 9 AM can't get here fast enough. Thank you though. Another comment says, congrats on moving on. It's never easy. I think that the settlement/payment should be separate property if received after the legal separation and filing date. When you file, you list community assets and debts and separate property and debts, which include things you had before the marriage and had after the separation. I would think that since you don't have a judgment or payment yet, you should be entitled to that as separate property. Opie replies, thank you. It's been nerve-wracking and kind of scary. Quote, when you file, you list community assets and debts and separate property and debts which include things you had before the marriage and had after the separation. See, this part scares me. A few days ago, I found out he'd taken out a loan for personal reasons. I have no idea where or how much it was for. All I know is I didn't get a dime of it. I tried to guesstimate how much he got based on his plans, but I've been told by others that number is likely way off. I'm worried that he's done this before, because while he makes decent money, we've been so broke and barely scraping by. After bills and stuff, he should have at least $500 left over every month, more if he's had any raises since starting, but we can't even afford the basics anymore. So if it turns out he's been getting credit cards or other loans and owes a ton of money without my knowledge, am I on the hook for that, even if I didn't benefit from it in any way? Commenter replies, unfortunately, most likely the answer is yes. Sign up for a credit monitoring service and run a credit report. Better yet, sign up for 2 accounts, one in his name. You'll be able to see what loans and credit cards are taken out, and account payment history and balances. And importantly, lock your credit so he can't take out more cards or loans. You'll have to look with all 3 credit score companies. Do this now. Oh god, not the credit cards too. Okay, Opie makes a new and final update 1 year later. Hey, this is my post. I couldn't sleep tonight and I was up watching a Reddit reader guy for background noise when I saw my story. Hey. That was really strange feeling because it's literally been a year. I can't believe anyone even remembered this. Can I update here in the comments? There's not much to tell, even though it's been so long. My soon-to-be ex found out because my original post made the rounds through several dead groups and pages on Facebook and TikTok and Twitter and who knows where, so he saw it almost immediately. I don't know if anyone actually realized it was him or not, but he's very active in those online communities, and seeing people rip on him, even if they didn't realize it was him, gave his ego big boo-boos. He deleted all of his social media because of it. Divorce is ongoing. It turns out my husband had taken out almost $40,000 in loans to pay off loans, and the reason we were so broke was because over half of his paycheck was going to pay them back every week. He was lying to me about how much he earned so that he wouldn't have to explain where it was all going. Also, he was participating in these gift exchanges and fundraisers and all kinds of stuff in his jam band groups, basically trying to play off like he was some big shot. For birthdays, someone might post their Amazon wish list and he'd buy them 2 or 3 big items from it, or they'd do Secret Santa and he'd go overboard, etc, etc. I guess he got addicted to the praise, but I don't actually know, but he managed to ruin his life for online brownie points. And yes, he was 100% banking on my settlement to pay it all back. Shocker, I know. I'm still confused how he managed to hide all of this from me. He lost our rented home almost immediately after I left because I was paying the bulk of that. He lost his car because he'd taken out a title pawn loan on that and couldn't afford the payments when I left. As for me, not much has changed. Divorce takes forever, especially when your a-hole partner keeps fighting it. My lawsuit isn't settled yet, but there was a mediation a couple of months ago, so we're close, and I won't have to give him a penny of it, and I'm not responsible for his debt, so there's my silver lining. For now, I'm living in subsidized housing with the kids, which is actually kind of nice. I have more money now being a disabled single mum than I had paying rent for my deadbeat husband who was making almost $30 an hour. He lied to me about that, and only had to pay basic utilities, lights, water, his insurance. It's crazy that I can take the boys to see a movie now as an occasional treat and still be able to buy socks and shoes and toothpaste. When I was with him, he constantly made me feel like he was having to sacrifice a kidney if one of the boys wanted a Coke. He hasn't even seen the kids since March, but they barely seem to notice. It's a bit sad, but I'm happy they're not upset about it. So that's where I'm at. I know it's not much of an update, but these things move very slowly. If anyone reads this, don't message me. I abandoned all messages when I started getting an onslaught of creepy men offering to help me in exchange for favors, and others telling me I should have died, I'm a burden on this poor helpless husband, I'm a drain on society, all that fun stuff, and I stopped reading them. Much love and appreciation for those who've been supportive. God, the internet is a strange place. But yeah, with every update, this guy just sounds like more and more of an idiot. Like, who does all of that and wastes all their money on online brownie points like OP said? It's just ridiculous. Anyway, good riddance, I say. What do you guys think about that one? Let me know in the comments. Alrighty, let's move on to a different story. Okay, we're over on Marriage subreddit, and I guess we're continuing with the theme of crappy husbands. This one was written by user Better Manner, and it's titled, Husband left me and our newborn baby for another woman. We've been married for 3 years. I'm 30, he's 34. I had a baby 6 weeks ago. After giving birth, my husband was cold and so distant. I thought that he needed time to adjust to the new normal, but turns out he was actually planning to leave us. 2 weeks ago, he said to me that it's not working out anymore, and he doesn't want to be married to me. The news broke my heart. I kept asking him why he was doing this to our family, and his response was, I can't pretend anymore. He took all his clothes and left 2 days after. I just had this gut feeling that he was seeing someone else, so I got onto his email and found hotel reservations. He brought her on a vacation when I thought he was on a business trip. I searched her name on Facebook and saw him in the background of her pictures. Turns out this has been going on for a year. I'm so hurt dealing with this and taking care of a newborn baby. I've been crying all day for the past 2 weeks and being delusional, thinking he'll come back to us when he realized he'd made a mistake. I texted him when I found out about the other woman, and he ignored me, then hours later asked how our son was doing, so I blocked him. I've been feeling so lost, I have no appetite, haven't been eating. As a result, my milk supply is really low. I don't know what to do anymore. Oh man, heartbreaking. Let's go to the comments. I know this is hard, but you've got to pull yourself together for your child's sake. Make yourself eat, then call in whatever family and friends you have for support. Then call a lawyer. Divorce that loser and get your child support. Document everything and get a lawyer ASAP. Change the locks and separate your finances. Focus on healing and your baby. You'll get through this. I had this happen to me. I almost died. Our baby was in the NICU for weeks. You've got to not dwell on him. Looking back, you dodged a bullet. You must take care of yourself because your baby needs you. Do not stress over breastfeeding because there's nothing wrong with formula. Get a lawyer and get him out of your life as soon as possible. Bottom line is, you deserve so much better. I'm here if you need me. Hang in there, sis. I'm so sorry your husband is devoid of any decency. You are in shock. But he is going to be moving on, making plans, changes quickly. He's not grieving. He's celebrating his freedom. Grieve later. Now's the time to be a fierce mama bear. Gather your anger. It'll help you now. Cry later when all is said and done. Get all the evidence and proof of his infidelity. Those photos, emails, receipts, credit card statements, bank account balances. He used marital assets on her, and in the past year he might have spent more money on his deceit. You have to protect you and your innocent child. Secure finances. Get a lawyer immediately. They will help you and protect you. Get fierce. Stay strong and cold. Only text or email. Think about the future. He may want 50-50 custody. That means she will be helping to raise your son. The time to grieve the life you built is later. Now you fight and secure the future for you and your precious baby. Okay, a quick update about a week later. This morning my husband came back, saying he made a mistake leaving his family and wants to work things out. These past weeks have been so rough. I've cried myself to sleep many nights, all while taking care of a baby. I'm still hurting and feel even worse now that he's back. Coming back doesn't erase all the emotional stress he's caused me. He left me and our baby when we needed him the most. I'm so lost and confused. Yeah, look who comes crawling back. One comment says, I wonder if she even knew he was married and or had a pregnant wife and newborn baby. I bet she recently found out, just my guess. Opie replies, I think she knew. He told me he left her, and I don't believe him. I actually sent her a message. I'm currently waiting on a response. Another comment says, you need to speak with a lawyer because if him being at the house instead of you may work against you in the divorce, if it matters. Opie says, I asked him to leave and he refused, so I left instead. I spoke to an attorney and they said I can't stop him from staying in our home. And Opie questioning if her husband was having a mental breakdown or not. If that's the case, he was having a mental breakdown even before I got pregnant. He was having an affair before I even got pregnant and it all unfolded when I gave birth. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get out of this one claiming mental health. Let's go to another update. Texts with the affair partner and this confirms he's a liar and he's been lying to both of us. My previous post was very vague, so I thought I'd provide more detail. When my husband came back yesterday, he apologized and said it was a huge mistake. He admitted he wasn't thinking straight and would do anything to make things right between us. He wants to be here for me and our son, repeatedly asking what he needs to do to make things right. I told him I didn't want to see him right now and that it was best if he left, but he refused and kept begging to stay, saying he was sorry and calling himself an idiot who doesn't deserve me. I asked why he did this to us and he admitted he wasn't thinking clearly and said nothing can justify his horrible actions. Yeah, the only truthful thing he's saying here is that and that he's an idiot. Okay, Opie gives transcripts of the text with the other woman. The other woman says, it's me. I don't use Messenger, so thought it would be better to text you for starters. Someone told me y'all were separated and he'd started the divorce process. I feel so stupid now believing him. Opie says, how long were you all seeing each other, and did you know about our son at this time? The woman says, I met him a year ago at Starbucks where he paid for my coffee. That moment marked the beginning of our relationship. A few months ago, I discovered about the baby and decided to break things off. However, he insisted that it didn't mean anything and kept expressing his desire to be with me. He moved in with me weeks ago till this morning he woke up and said he's going back to his family. Opie says, he told me weeks ago the same time he moved in with you that it wasn't working with us anymore and he left me and our 4-week-old. The other woman replies, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. I wouldn't have let him move in with me had I known. Opie says, you don't need to apologize, you didn't know. The other woman says, I'm stuck on a lease I can't afford by myself because he convinced me to get this apartment for us, only to bail on me. Opie says, how old are you? To which she replies, 25. Please feel free to ask me anything you want to know. Were you ever separated? Opie replies, we were never separated and lived together till a few weeks after I gave birth. Did he tell you why we separated? The woman says, he didn't say much, it was very brief. All he mentioned was that things weren't working out between you two, and something about growing apart. When I found out you were pregnant, he said you were trying to trap him with the baby. Opie says, our child was planned actually, and it was his idea to begin with. It's clear as day he's a pathological liar. The other woman says, is he back at your house, or was that also one of his lies? Opie says he came back, but we're not getting back together. To which the woman says, good for you, he's an a-hole. For the record, I'm done with him too. Wow, yeah, let's go girls, team up against this scumbag. Some comments ask OP how did they feel after talking with the other woman. I tried my best to be understanding and not get upset. This woman owes me nothing, I can't be mad at her. And OP on if the other woman knew about the baby. She was with the husband for a year before OP found out. She knew, but my guess is she really loved him and didn't care. Regardless, this is all on him. He was lying to both of us. I think she just wanted confirmation since we both know he lies about everything. If she chooses to take him back, that's on her. Okay folks, now for another update. I'm in the process of filing for a divorce. The stress has been overwhelming. It even landed me in the hospital. My blood pressure was extremely high and I was severely dehydrated. My attorney advised me to move back into the house until the divorce is finalised. Since then, things have been very strange. My husband is now trying to win me over, but it's too late. I strongly dislike him for leaving me for another woman. He has been taking care of our son during the day to give me breaks, cooking meals, and even bringing the food to me. I haven't been eating it. Instead, I throw it in the trash and have told him to stop cooking for me. He brought me flowers, which I also threw away. He's been trying to talk to me, but I walk away and lock myself in my bedroom. I'm staying in the guest room. Last night, he asked if we could watch a movie together, and I said no and told him to leave me alone. He's even cried and begged for another chance, but I can't get over what he's done to me. Despite everything, I found myself crying tonight because I feel bad for treating him poorly. Why am I feeling bad for someone who disregarded my feelings and left me alone with our baby when I needed him the most? I want to add, I'm having a weak moment and second-guessing myself. Am I making the right decision by filing for this divorce, even though I know it's the right thing to do? Some comments. It's normal to feel this way because you have a heart, unlike some lying, cheating idiots. Do not take him back. Stay strong. I'm sure you'll see his true colours once he sees you're not budging. Another comment says, you're not treating him badly. You're treating him with all the kindness he deserves. I'm so sorry. I've been following your story and it blows my mind that he thinks he can grovel his way back into your good graces. Another commenter adds, also OP, eat the food for your milk supply so you have more time with your son instead of cooking dinner. Someone retorts, I disagree. Maybe I have watched too many true crime shows. I wouldn't eat anything he cooks unless I watched every move and every ingredient. He might put something in the food when he does, eventually blow up. Please be careful, OP. OP replies, that's the reason I won't eat what he makes. I don't trust him. Whew, yeah, fair enough. Okay, on to a new update. I'm still in the process of getting a divorce. I've been doing my best to ignore him and keep my distance, focusing on my son instead. I visit my parents every day, and sometimes I even spend the night with them. Despite this, he's still being nice, or at least pretending to be. I'm not sure if it's an act, but I've been ignoring it. He still makes food and coffee for me, but because I don't trust him, I usually don't eat the food. Occasionally, I'll drink the coffee. Last night, I was sitting on the couch watching a movie around midnight, thinking he was already in bed. While the movie was playing, he came in and asked if he could sit and watch with me. I told him I didn't care and to do whatever he wanted. He sat down, and later on, he touched my leg and kissed me. We ended up having sex, and he finished in 1 minute. I went to bed last night instantly regretting what happened, and now I'm so mad at myself. My head is all over the place. Oh no, and that's the final update we've got for that one. Geez, I'll keep an eye out for any future ones, but man, that was pretty crappy. At least OP acknowledged that it probably wasn't the right thing to do. I mean, it's such a crappy situation, you wouldn't know what to think. I can kind of sympathize in that regard. Let's read some final comments. Now OP needs another STD screening since cheating husband could be carrying anything. Move your entire family and friends into your house. Take up all the beds, couches and everything. Let them treat him as what he is, a hostile enemy who is occupying your house. If he had any decency whatsoever, he'd have left you alone instead of refusing to move out. Make his stay there more uncomfortable than he's made yours. I bet they're in a state where if you have sexual intercourse with a cheating spouse after you know about it, then you're presumed by law to have accepted the adultery and can no longer use that in a divorce setting. Virginia, I believe, still has this on book. Oh wow, I had no idea about that. Is that true? Maybe someone in the comments can let me know. I've never heard of that before. If so, then this could get really bad for OP. Fingers crossed it's not. Anyway, that's all we got for that one for now. Let me know your thoughts down below. Alrighty, that's it from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.